Okay, good evening, everybody. Hello to the folks on Zoom. I see Victoria and Alex and Joe, Monica, Leslie, welcome everybody. And to the folks in front of me here in the EBC at Chatham's Eden Hall campus. For those of you on Zoom who don't know me, I'm Sheila Squilanti. I am the director of the MFA program here at Chatham. We are right now on day 8 of the Summer Community of Writers, 8 out of 11, sort of. It's kind of hard to remember where we are. I am especially delighted tonight to be joining you for a celebration of a really special and important new anthology created by Chatham MFA alumni. I'm going to let them talk about the project, but I am going to first ask that the folks on Zoom please mute your cameras and mute your microphones until the end. We are recording this and it just makes things a little bit more seamless. So we love your faces and you can turn them back on at the end when there might be time for Q&A. So I'm going to read the biographies of the 4 Chatham alumni who have created the Black Visions anthology, and then I'm going to step back and let them take it away with the program. Samantha N Edwards was born in San Francisco, California, and received her MFA from Chatham University in 2017. A self-proclaimed master of none, she has taken jobs in publishing, low-income housing, commercial real estate, convalescent home, and most recently, a nonprofit dedicating their mission to saving the environment. Samantha is currently shopping her debut pilot, A Kiss for Sister Shelley, for representation, binging Norwegian crime shows, and relaxing with her cat, Obama. You can find her at SamanthaNicoleEdwards.com. Samantha is in California, so we are sending a shout out to her and wish that she could be here with us. Caitlyn Hunter is in the house, and that's also one of our emerging Black artists, Black writers in residence at Chatham University. She's a doctoral candidate at Duquesne University, where she researches African American literature and Black food studies. She currently lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Her book, Power in the Tongue, is forthcoming. It's actually in her hand, I think, at the moment. It's beautiful, this June. Nicole Lorette is also with us tonight. Nicole received her MFA in creative writing from Chatham in 2015. Originally from Rochester, New York, she now resides in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where she contributes as an editor for Pittsburgh Poetry Journal. Her work has been featured in IDK Magazine, Vagabond City, the Paragon Journal, and elsewhere. And finally, Cedric Rudolph, also here with us in the room, moved to Pittsburgh in 2016. 2 years later, he received his MFA from Chatham. He is currently the Diverse Faculty Fellow Instructor at the Community College of Allegheny County. We also call it CCAC. At CCAC, he teaches creative writing and composition classes, and he is developing a storytelling initiative with other faculty. He's also finishing his stint as our emerging Black writer in residence here at Chatham. He is one of the founding editors of Beautiful Cadaver, which publishes social justice themed anthologies and stages theatrical performances. His poems are published in the Laurel Review, Santa Fe Literary Review, the Pittsburgh Neighborhood Guidebook, and the Coal Hill Review. I am delighted to welcome Caitlyn Hunter and Cedric Rudolph to the podium.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to see everybody, see familiar faces and new faces, and people who are recording. Hello.
Yes, hi, everyone on Zoom.
Hi, everyone on Zoom. So we wanted to just start by telling you a little bit about our process, the process for how we got to this anthology, which is on sale tonight for $10. But this is, yeah, thank you for Vanna Whiting for us.
Nicole Lorette, another editor.
Yes, Nicole Lorette, another editor. So we first just have to say a little bit about the process of the Emerging Black Writers in Residence itself. A group of us, including Caitlyn and Nicole and Samantha, who is not featured on Zoom right now. She may join us later, but is not here, but a group of us kind of formed a think tank, and we wanted to do something to bring a Black presence to the MFA program at Chatham. And we ended up meeting with administration, and that this has taken the form of the residency. You want to say a little bit more about the residency itself?
Yeah, so the residency was kind of inspired by our friend Jeffrey Boosie Bolden, who passed away really suddenly a few years ago, almost to the day. And one of the things that we really wanted to do with this residency was to create this position that was not just a mentorship, but also was a way to give support to Black writers. When we think about the literary world, especially like current conversations, marginalized voices and artists don't always get the support or mentorship that they need. And so this residency was kind of one way of tackling that issue. And so over the past year, Cedric and myself have been able to do teaching. We've also been on thesis boards. We've also been editors, both of this wonderful anthology and guest editors for Fourth River.
Yes.
And so it's been a really wonderful journey. And we've also bonded because of that, which has been also very rewarding. But I guess I would say that, with this anthology, we wanted to have one kind of lasting document to really honor our friends and be the change that we kind of wish to see in amplifying, Black voices, especially voices across the diaspora. So not all of our contributors are American. We have contributors from all over the world, which is actually really exciting. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, one of the things that was important to us with the residency was that Boosie's name was on something that we did, and that's how we got the title for this, that it's a Jeffrey Boosie Bolden anthology, and our call for submissions was a call for bold writing that pushed genre, that didn't necessarily fit into a box, and also writing that really represented a variety of voices. And that's what we got after we put the call out through the submittable, Fourth River submittable page. And after receiving all the work, we went through it. We culled together a group of strong pieces, and then we went about doing the layout process. So I just wanted to acknowledge, first of all, Caitlyn, who is standing to my right, because Caitlyn was someone who was integral to the process of putting this book together, of having the book look the way that it does. I also want to acknowledge Samantha Edwards, who, as I said, is not here right now, but she was the person who came up with the first layout for the book, and was the person who made it kind of visually and digitally a thing, where it was actually, we were looking at an anthology. And also acknowledging Makeda Lewis, whose artwork you'll see featured on the cover. She's an artist based out of Atlanta, and I found her coloring book called Avi's Dream, and it was beautiful. And I'm glad that when I reached out, she actually sent me a message back, because not all the people that we reached out to were able to send us work.
Right.
But we got some really nice messages from big
A lot of
writers.
great rejections.
Yes,
Really
we got a lot of
heartfelt
great
rejections.
And so Makeda Lewis was one of the people who wrote back to us, and then when we got her work, it was obvious that that this anthology was going to come together. And so I'm just very proud of the end product. So I think without further ado, we can start the reading. I do think that we should start with with Cameron, and just keep to the same order. And then I'll let you introduce Cameron.
Sure.
I'm going to sit down.
Thank you for that swift narration, Cedric. So our first contributor that I have the great honor to introduce is Cameron Barnett. Cameron is the author of the Drowning Boy's Guide to Water, winner of the 2017 Rising Writer Contest from Autumn House Press, and is a finalist for Outstanding Literary Work and Poetry for the 49th NAACP Image Awards. He earned his MFA in poetry at the University of Pittsburgh. His honors include the 2019 Carol R. Brown Creative Achievement Award for Emerging Artists. Cameron lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he works as a middle school language arts teacher and is a poetry editor for the Pittsburgh Poetry Journal. Cameron, take it away.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me all right? I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay, cool.
Cameron, thank you.
I'm coming to you from Cape Cod, taking a little break out of my family reunion here to share some poetry with you all and celebrate the launch of this journal. So first, thank you to Caitlyn and Cedric and all the other editors for putting this together, for honoring Boosie, and for creating what I'm sure is a really dope anthology. And I can't wait to hear all the other readers tonight too. I'd like to read 3 pieces. The first one is in the anthology. 2 others are just ones in the mix that I kind of enjoy reading right now. So this first piece that's in the anthology is called Little Africa on Fire. This is how the story begins. With a touch, a bump, a hot mouth, jostled skin in an elevator, escalation, tension, even just the illusion of trespass. It always seems the smallest contact triggers the fire, the tip of a match struck along the lips of containment. For a while, my sister and I thought the world had no color until the 1960s, convinced old movies and photos were true representations of history, whole stories, that color came between cartoons and civil rights, and long before then, the world was two-toned, light and dark, sometimes with flecks or aberrations in the corners. Upon seeing pictures of our parents, both Black and white and in color, we asked, what changed? Upon seeing pictures of Greenwood, both beautiful and burned, I asked, what stories have I been taught to trust? There are 3 parts to a ghost story. The specter, planes in the sky, dynamite dropped on a black crowd, a white mob, a machine gun expelling bullets, American flag high behind it, fire and smoke in its wake, a long march past husks of burned out churches, 8 days of internment of Blacks by the thousands, loops of litigation spraining the language of massacre into riot, insurance claims lost in the litter of legal destruction. The apparition, a flat view of the earth, has always made Africa look little, smaller than Greenland. A flat view of earth is what schools only had for us to see ourselves. A flat view of us pinned back prosecution and punishment for the map makers, cartographing themselves out of the haunted history lying flat beneath the earth. The murmur. We know a lie when it unfurls in our hands, how consequences char irregularity into myth. We know our hauntings because a family keeps its ghosts close. We know pain, we know plunder, we know echoes. Echoes. This is how to listen to a ghost story. Remember, there are no better angels above or beneath our skies, above or beneath charred churches and trees. These angels, their halos falling augustly, deciduously, stories strapped to a branch lost against the forest. Heaven is a black place, a smoky silhouette the tin type tattles on. Heaven is full of anomalies. How do I explain my homesickness for this? It's 2018 and I can't stop dreaming about flames in my mouth, in my palms, and my eyes at all times. I can't stop crying for Tulsa and 100 years spent dirt deep and silent beneath our feet. This is how to cross-examine a ghost. Rouse it with radar and listen to the echoes of old fire. Sometimes it takes a mouth to pronounce what the earth has been whispering for generations. Sometimes flecks in the corners of photos are more than aberrations, the black and white of it lying in plain sight. This is how to give a go. Touch the dirt outside your house and ask how different feel in Greenwood. Ask if the sunken anomalies push against the surface around town. If those anomalies still burn down deep, if the anomalies are still hot in their mouths, their tongues boxes of unstruck matches. It's the silence of fire that remains spectral, substituted for memory, but no more. Little Africa pounds heart first against the dirt and emerges tongue, tooth, and throat in bonfire, heritage unmortgaged, a ghost girl beating back the map of her unmaking. All right. I probably should have said before that that piece was about the Tulsa massacre, but probably from context, you might have gotten that. The second poem is called A Second Opinion. 1619, 1776, 1865. Because of these, I am. A rope rocks empty in the wind somewhere in Sumter because it never loved me. Maybe life is all fire and parlor walls. Still, I go on dreaming of writing a green book for the stars. Take me to Mars and tie my tongue up in tectonics, then let me be redshifted into oblivion. This much I believe. The future doesn't have a price yet. A place is not who owns it. No book will make you love me. 1955, 1965, 1987. My heart is the space between boom bap, dap, and desperation. Sometimes I dream of a blacker me, and I know it is a dream because I can't see faces clearly in dreams, but I know a nesting doll, just like I know the panic of a dream ending from its rush and repetition. The night sky and the earth go on lying back and forth to each other, and from where I sit between them, I learn that stubbornness won't make me love me either. 1996, 2001, 2012. A road runs north from Langdon because it desperately wanted me to be. This much I know. A place is more than its truth. Some people have always known freedom. They aren't the only ones fit for it. All right, and my last piece is called Pardon. If my friends knew how much I danced in the shower, they'd judge me. Pardon me, earth, for all the water I've wasted. Pardon me for the spit in my mouth I give back to make up for it. I've been told to make amends when possible. The side effect is this heart of mine caught up in shrinking and growing. Pardon, groaning. Pardon, gloating. This is why I dance in the water, to make joy something precarious. Pardon, precious. To learn to love the threat of slipping, of losing balance. If my friends knew that I could never throw away sentimental things without kissing them goodbye, they'd laugh about me. Pardon, laugh at me, and give names to anything I touch. How do we learn shame for our little rituals? Everyone I know walks backward out of dark rooms and basements because we all know haunters, pardon me, monsters that make us shudder. We are the strength we practice. I practice writing poems not meant for profit, pardon, profit, pardon, private. I don't go to mass, but privately I do the sign of the cross sometimes when I need grounding, when I need to hold on. There's this earthquake I keep in my pocket. I pray I never show anyone. I'm okay letting myself get torn apart, pardon, in part, because I might deserve it. If my friends knew that I haven't always been a good man, I wouldn't bother asking them to pardon me. Arrogance and freedom are close cousins of mine. I have this little ritual, recalling all the last times I didn't realize were lasts at the time. Full hands, a full heart, kisses that weren't farewells, the echo of heat that is thunder. Maybe I am what I fear follows me out of the dirt. Pardon, dark. I fear I am an earthquake. I fear when I finally crack, the earth will tell you from above and below. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cameron. Our next reader is Leslie Dumont. Leslie is a Maryland DMV area native and a PhD student at the University of California, Davis, studying 19th century American literature. She is writing a dissertation about Emerson and race.
Hey, hello. I feel like I'm still digesting what just happened. That was incredible. And yeah, I'm going to need time to think about that. So I am going to share two short sections from my memoir in progress, the first of which is included in this anthology, and the other is just another section that I want to share. So I'll get right to it because I'm right at the 10-minute mark. All right, section 1. The building smelled old. Black pews were covered in the crusted tears of Holy Ghost seekers. We knelt and pressed our faces up against the backs of our seats, chanting the name Jesus over and over until it became a song. The sisters circled the floor, weaving in and out, stuffing wads of Kleenex into the damp spaces between our chests and the seats of the pew, singing, "Savior, don't pass me by." I mouthed the words while I watched my sister spring up from her seat and jump angles around the back of the church, speaking in tongues. Ronnie did it too. Everyone did, but the little ones and me. I tried hard, especially when the sisters sang, "While on others thou art falling, do not pass me by." Anne described it to me once, getting the Holy Ghost. She called it a fire, a burning descent from heaven. She told me that in the moment she received the Holy Ghost, God emptied her mind and put himself into it. I look for these cues with sleepiness settling in. And just as my knees started to go numb, I thought I felt that emptiness inside. In that transitory dissociation, I waited for God to fill me. Meanwhile, my brother Ronnie was slapping the bench up front, his head thrown back and foam flying from his mouth. Lisbeth, who was younger than me and secretly painted her nails with magic markers and erased it sometimes, was face tight and chanting, tears and sweat wetting the front of her dress. I decided that I needed to get the Holy Ghost that night. It was the devil who made me self-conscious, who made me fear that my stockings might fall or I might fall and my dress would come up. I pressed my face into the corner of the arm of the pew and chanted, "Get out, devil, get out," over and over again. Minister, upon hearing this, came over to me and put his hands on my head, pressing my face further into the bench. I answered that jolting motion with loud tearing, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus." Everyone was calling Jesus so loudly that my voice was lost in the din. Sister Vixen, my play mom, who had bad knees, was now sitting on a bench nearby, rocking back and forth, plucking at her guitar. The children who were asleep on the floor turned over and covered their ears whenever someone started to stomp. It must have been 10 or 11 at night. Minister moved on to another child and spoke in tongues over their head. The sisters moved on too, and after a while I was calling Jesus into the armpit of the pew by myself. My father rose and began to sing so everyone could rise from their knees, but I continued to call on Jesus. I needed the Holy Ghost that night. I needed to be saved. Sister Vixen finally put her hand on my back and whispered for me to get up. I could see the concern on her face, on the faces of the people on that bench glancing at me, one of the oldest kids and still not filled. They must have thought I was sinning, doing something wicked. Maybe I was stealing or a liar. I sat on my bench with my feet on top of my sleeping cousin's back and cried. I never did get the Holy Ghost, and sometimes when I wake in the middle of the night and nobody is around, I hear Jesus has come. And because I never spoke in tongues, I'm left behind. End section. I thought foster care was a secluded facility that housed hundreds of juvenile delinquents in dirty stone-forged cells. When the caramel-colored lady who called herself Grace, your social worker, led me up an overgrown pathway to a tiny house, I was confused. She knocked on the door, a hollow sound in the after-hours quiet of the neighborhood. It opened and I was face to face with Betty, your foster mother, but please call me Auntie. She was short and pale with wild gray curls that lay moist against the rolls of her neck. Her foster daughter, Brittany, was sitting at a small kitchen table that was set with plates of spaghetti for 3. Only one plate had not been touched. She pulled out the chair for me and told me to start eating because we were going to a church fall festival in a couple of minutes. I took off my backpack and gripped it between my legs under the table. My skirt folded with it and made it look like I was wearing pants. Grace was still talking with Betty, and the two of them were making frequent glances in our direction. Brittany slurped her spaghetti loudly, unashamedly, barely chewing and wiping her hands on her jeans like it was her house. She had at least 5 piercings on one ear and a nose ring. Her hair was in 2 braids, not the French braids that the white girls at school wore on game days, but cornrows. Somehow they made her look less white. She nodded towards my backpack. You can put that up in our room if you want. No, that's okay, I said. I clutched my bag tighter between my legs and choked down a fork full of cold, meatless spaghetti, my head flooding with the claustrophobic image of, quote, our room, end quote. So are you Muslim or something? She was looking at my scarf. No, apostolic, this is how we dress. The skirt too? Yeah. I never saw any apostolic people in foster care. I realized then that this house I was in was foster care. I was sitting at a white woman's table next to a white girl I never met, eating white spaghetti noodles with no meat in a white house that I was now supposed to call home. Betty dropped Brittany and I off at the fall festival at their Presbyterian church. The night was cool and silent around the lit parking lot. Stations were set up for pumpkin smashing, face painting, food, and apple bobbing. Brittany found a group of friends and went off with them. As I shuffled around, I was acutely aware of the guilt I felt for being in that place. My family would never allow me to attend a pagan event like this. On Halloween, we closed the curtains and laid on our bellies around the radio in the little kids' room, listening to Adventures in Odyssey, trying to convince ourselves that we were having more fun than the kids outside, stuffing their faces with candy. Suddenly, a pain I was not used to bubbled up and escaped in a steady current of tears. I was aware of my feet, the heaviness of them, and the stockings that had fallen and bagged around my ankles. I could feel the length of my skirt and the contrast between it and the butt-tight pants the other girls wore. I was supposed to be at home right now, dunking my sister's hair in the tub, washing it and braiding it for school tomorrow. Dodging the scattered groups of pumpkin smashing, candy corn eating teenagers, I ran to the bathroom with my backpack beating against my butt. I turned the corner and found Brittany sitting on the counter swinging her legs. A sharp, dark-skinned girl with long braids was cross-legged on the floor, picking at something on her jeans. Next to her, an olive-skinned girl with boy short purple hair. I tried to act as if I came in by accident, but Brittany saw my face. What's wrong with you? Nothing, I'm fine. I was just looking for her. Brittany cut me off. Keisha, this is my foster sister, Leslie. They just brought her today. Keisha looked me up and down as if I passed the test of her approval. She let me sit down. Why are you in foster care? She asked. I stuttered and started to cry again. Brittany hopped down from the counter and hugged me, but the foreign space between us made her move back and wait for someone else to talk. The olive-skinned girl was Marcella. She had on the shortest shorts I'd ever seen. She held her knees to her chest, and I had to look at the floor to avoid seeing her bare thighs. She said, my dad raped me and stuff. I've been in the system 6 years. Keisha stood up and started messing around with her hair in the mirror. She spoke flatly. I've been in here longer than all y'all. What happened to you? I asked her. I don't remember. She flipped her braids back behind her back and pulled them up into a ponytail. Marcella laughed, a low gurgle of a laugh, accompanied with tight eyes. Man, everybody here been raped. Dicks are active as fuck in Montgomery County. Brittany, who had been watching me the whole time with her hands dipping in and out of a bag of Doritos, took one and threw it at Marcella. What does that even mean? Exactly what I said, active as fuck. Everyone wants to fuck around here. The door to the bathroom opened and an Uggs-wearing, freckle-faced girl with a ponytail and green cardigan waltzed in toward the stalls. As if we silently agreed she was too innocent for this conversation, we all got up, dusted our butts off, and left. End section. That's all.
Wow, thank you, Leslie. That was beautiful. Okay, so I think I'm gonna read 2 pieces from my new book, and if there's time, I'll read the piece from the anthology. For those that don't know, this is a little bit of a different type of memoir where half of the stories are like Black folk tales. So if it sounds like a children's story, then you're right on the money in that assumption. So the first story, a little too close, is O Can Wako. Once upon a time, there was a boy, And he was no ordinary boy. Oh no. This boy could fix anything. Day after day, he worked in his daddy's tool shed, tinkering away on old appliances that no longer wanted to work, fixing toys that needed mending, and reconstructing old motors and engines that coughed and sputtered back to life. More than anything else, he dreamed about flying. It was an ordinary day. As the sun rose and the cock crowed, the boy knew that there was work that needed done. Daddy knocked on the door. "Wendell, my boy, time's a wasting. Get a car in that shed that needs fixing. Got to go to town. Be back in 3 days." "Okay, Daddy," Wendell said, wiping the crust from his eye. "I'll get right on it." Wendell put on his overalls and boots and went to the shed. He changed the tires, took the old ones and made them into new soles for his boots. He tinkered with the engine. It whirred, chugging for breath. Wendell looked into the exhaust pipe and pulled out feathers. "Wonder how these got here," he thought to himself, putting them in his back pocket. Wendell took out the seats and replaced the fabric with soft ivory leather that felt just like churned butter. By the time he washed and polished the silver car, it looked brand new. "Phew-wee," Wendell whistled. "Now that's a fine beauty." "I don't know," said a grisly voice, "but can she fly?" A cat was sitting by the shed door, licking its paw, its tail forked right at the tip. The cat walked up to Wendell, sauntered over real nice like, but a cat's only nice when it wants something. The voice rasp purred again. "Can this beauty fly faster, farther than others?" The flick of the tips of the cat's split tail caught Wendell's eye. The cat wrapped its tail around Wendell's boot. He took a step back from the cat. "Who are you, little devil?" Wendell asked. "You should know," smiled the cat. "You called me by name." "I ain't call nobody. I'm just here minding my own business." "Oh, you should know better than to whistle unless you want my business." The cat hunched over and got a bit bigger. It stood on its hind legs and its ears became little horns. "Tell you what, let's make a deal. I'm just starting out, you see, and I need to make some business if I want to keep my job. You race me with this car, and if you beat me, I'll grant you a wish." "A wish?" Wendell asked. "For anything I want?" "Anything." Wendell scratched his head. "And what do I have to give you in return?" "Oh, nothing," said Little Devil, "except your soul. But you ain't using it anyways." The deal was too good to pass up. He shook the devil's hand. "You got yourself a deal." Little Devil smiled. "Meet me here tomorrow after the cock crows 3 times. With a poof, Little Devil disappeared. Wendell finished his farm chores, ate some supper, and went to bed. Like always, he dreamed of flying. In the night, Little Devil snuck into the shed. He stuck magpie feathers into both exhaust pipes. He was going to win this race for sure. And just like clockwork, the cock crowed. Wendell jumped up, put on his overalls, his boots, and raced to the barn. Little Devil was there, just a grinning as ever, standing next to his very own car, the same exact make and model as Wendell's, but this car was candy apple red. "Ready to race?" "Sure as I'll ever be." Wendell and Little Devil got into their cars and they fired up both engines. Little Devil gave the signal. "On your mark, get set, go." The engines roared as the tires kicked up dust clouds into the air. Wendell and Little Devil were neck and neck and neck and neck, and then all of a sudden, Wendell's car whirred. It coughed and sputtered and died. Little Devil sped past, leaving Wendell in his dust. Wendell got out of the car, looked at the exhaust pipe, and pulled out feathers. The black and white feathers felt familiar in his hands. He put them in his back pocket with the others. The Little Devil circled back and pulled up alongside Wendell. "Deal's a deal, boy. Hand me over that soul." "You sure are right," Wendell replied. He reached down to the bottom of his boot and ripped off the sole. "Here, as promised, Devil, 1 soul." Little Devil's smile turned into a frown. "What is this?" he scowled. "I wanted your soul." Wendell replied. "And I got one more good one. How about another race, double or nothing?" Little Devil needed a soul to take to his boss. "Okay," Little Devil replied. "Double or nothing, but this time no tricks. Meet me again here tomorrow morning when the cock crows 3 times. Wendell and Little Devil shook his hand, and then with a poof, Little Devil disappeared. Wendell cleaned up the car, finished his farm chores, and ate some supper. During dinner, Wendell told Mama about his race. Sounds to me like little devil played a trick on you, said Mama. Before you go to bed, take this here big mirror down to the shed and put it on the door. That'll teach him. Wendell did as he was told and put the mirror on the shed door. He went to bed and dreamed of flying. Just like the night before, little devil tried to sneak into the shed. But this time, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get past the front door. He banged and kicked and cussed, but there was no budging. Instead, he went to the chicken coop to kill that rooster. He found a bird roosting and put his hands around its neck until it went limp. He was going to win this race for sure. Too bad little devil never was a farmer. A good farmer knows the rooster never sleeps with the hens. And just like clockwork, the cock crowed. Wendell jumped up, put on his overalls, his boots, and raced to the barn. Little devil was standing there next to his very own car, the same exact make and model as Wendell's, but this car was now as black as tar. Ready to race? Sure as I'll ever be. Wendell and Little Devil got into their cars. They fired up both engines. Little Devil gave the signal. On your mark, get set, go! And they were off. Wendell and Little Devil speeding neck and neck. But this time, Wendell reached into his pocket and threw the magpie feathers in Little Devil's face. Little Devil howled and snarled and veered off the road. Wendell kept driving, fast as four wheels would fly. He passed trees and rivers. He passed crossroads. Little Devil tried to catch up, but he couldn't. Wendell kept going, kept him in the rear view the whole time. Wendell would grow up to be the first Black NASCAR driver. He'd win more money than he could ever count. He'd win trophies. He'd fly further and faster than anyone because he learned quick that you always need to keep the devil in the rear view. All right, so the partner to this is a chapter called Awoken. The drive between Maryland and Pittsburgh is my songbird journey. There are always reasons to fly southward and return. The 4-hour-long stretch of roads over mountains, through tunnels, past the occasional rest stop are circadian landmarks. Birds, like me, have an internalized compass. They draw their information from the sun, the stars, and by sensing their Earth's magnetic pull. During this flight, I try to drive at a safe speed, never going more than 5 miles over the limit. I know all it takes is one speed trap to give due cause for a state trooper to meet their quota. I see a cop parked on the side of the road and I reduce my speed to 55. But then I see the lights flash in my rear view. Red, blue, white. Shit, what did I do now? I hear the wailing whomps of the siren. I pull over. Okay, deep breaths. I put my license and registration in my lap and keep my hands on the wheel. A man, short with a square torso and black hair, exits the car. With each step he takes towards me, I try to remember to breathe. Good afternoon, he starts. You know why I pulled you over? Driving while black, I think. Instead, I reply, I'm sorry. No, sir, I don't. I didn't think I was speeding. Well, I was on the side of the road and about to pull out and you cut me off. Wasn't he parked? I'm sorry, sir. No, I must have not seen your signal. I've been driving for some time now as I'm heading home to school from visiting family. There, that should show him I'm not that kind of person. I'm the kind of person who speaks good. I'm the kind of person who is the very model of Du Bois's talented 10th. I am not his Negro. He looks into my car and gives me a once-over. I see. License and registration. I hand him the stuff sitting in my lap and I put my hands back on the wheel. Like most children with Black parents, I was taught about how to deal with police. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Hands at 10 and 2. Don't give them a reason. Show them that you matter. Do what you must to make it home to your mother. Stay woke. Survive. Wait here. I'm going to check on your information. He walks back to his car. I sit in silence. I know I've done nothing wrong, but even still, the panic sets in. You'll go a whole lifetime dealing with those who have sworn to protect you. There's a part of you that will always be fearful. There is always a part of you that wonders if you will make it home. Every time feels like the first time. Every time feels like that moment, the one you'll never forget. Clouds of smoke whirl around us in a room mixing with Nag Champa incense. We bathe in a vacuum of sweet herbal bliss. I take another hit of the blunt and pass it to my boyfriend, John. On the TV, Manny Pacquiao slays another foe between the ropes with a right hook made of lead. Why didn't your boy come in? Don asked, wiping dreads out of his face and looking at his watch. With each passing minute, we were wearing out our welcome. I don't know, John replies. His girl said she had a headache, so they stayed in the car. I guess we better go. It's been about 30 minutes. We leave the apartment and stand outside. Cubby, Don's cousin, hunches over a grill pit. The aroma of searing chicken lacquered with sweet and tangy mambo sauce hits me in the stomach. Children around us scream and run, playing a game of tag in the street. Go-go drums clap and vibrate through the stereo. John and Don take turns b-boying, flipping over one another, crip walking and dabbing. I consider myself impressed that my white boy got moves. We hug goodbye, and Don tells me to take it easy. High off the fumes of the blunt, high off the warmth of dawn and the setting sun's glow over the Anacostia skyline, we walk back to the car where Jamie and his girlfriend Eve are napping in the front. Y'all have fun, Jamie asks, readjusting his seat. Yeah, John replies. They're good people. Eve sleepily leans onto the side of the passenger window as Jamie puts the key into the ignition. We make it down the block. Before Jamie can turn on his blinker, there are flashing red and blue lights. 3 cop cars pull out to the front, back, and side of us. 6 cops run towards us, guns drawn, flashes of black metal tapping on windows. They scream, "Get out of the fucking car! Get out of the fucking car now!" I am confused. Is there some kind of mistake? The cops open our doors and grab my arm. The grass squeezes tight as I feel my own pulse under the weight of a thumb. Stand here. I am on the wall, pressed against concrete. I feel hands between my legs, between my thighs. Where are the drugs, bitch? We know you have them. I stand helpless and look for John. He is standing with Jamie and Eve on the other side of the car. The cops are asking them questions. Our eyes meet. My eyes plead for him to help me. He looks down. Where are the drugs? A white cop turns me around. He sticks his hands down my dress and gropes my breasts, and all I can do is fixate on his silvery white hair. I count the follicles. I stare at each strand and think about how the peppering of silver is so much like my mother's. Please, I ask him, please, I don't have anything. I know you're lying, bitch, he tells me. He takes a deep breath. Where is the dope? He takes the black beret off my head, the beret my grandfather gave me and told me to always let my little light shine. A flashlight shines in my face as the cop sticks his hands in my hair. He shakes my curls and bends me over to make sure something falls out. He sits me on the curb of the sidewalk, and more officers put my hands on my back. I am facing my friends. They are facing away. They ask Eve and Jamie if they can search the car. They give their permission. A black cop goes directly to my side of the car and grabs my purse. He goes through my wallet and pulls out a card. He looks at the card, looks at me, and then walks over to the white cop to show him. On the back, I see it's my college ID. The weathered black band of my mail swipe card seems to be my only ticket out of this mess. The black cop walks over to me and stands me up. He loosens my restraints and hands me my purse. You know, it's lucky we got to you when we did, he tells me. The house you came out of is a trap house. A lot of bad drug deals come out of there. He smiles as if this is to reassure me. Perhaps out of shock, I thank him, even though I don't know why. The cop hands the keys back over to Jamie and they tell us that we're free to go. John and Jamie thank the cops and we get back into the car. The white cop tells them to get home safe. We leave Minnesota Avenue and head back to Virginia from Southeast DC. In the car, Jamie, John, and Eve joke and laugh about how crazy that experience was. They relish in the adrenaline rush. John puts his hand on my thigh as if to remind me that he loves me. All I can do is stare at the glow of the Washington Monument. All I can do is fixate on the light. The cop taps on the window. He grins and hands me back my license. Good thing it was me that pulled you over. Some aren't as lenient. I'm going to let you off with a warning. Here's your paperwork. He waves and walks back to his car. I adjust the rearview mirror to make sure that the cop is gone. As he pulls away, my anxiety subsides. I stare at the piece of paper in my hand. Failure to stop and reckless driving peer back as the reasons as to why I was stopped. But this isn't what immediately catches my eye. It's his label, race, Black, without looking at my name, without asking me my ethnicity. One man looked at my skin and read me. This paper told me what I had known all along. My Black body wasn't asking to be harassed. It was deemed reckless for taking up space on the road. This is how we are born. Through trauma, we stay woke. Thank you. I forgot I'm introducing the next person. Okay, let me just pull this up here. All right, so next we have Jasmine Lomax. Jasmine Lomax has appeared in the Santa Fe Literary Review, Platypus Press, Winter Tangerine, Vagabond City, and more. Jasmine is also a two-time Pushcart Prize nominee and appeared as a finalist in the 2020 Sundress Publications Poetry Broadside Contest. You can learn more about Jasmine if you buy our anthology, where her lovely website is also listed. Without further ado, Jasmine.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Denzians of Chatham University. I am in Seattle. It's very lovely and sunny over here. So not as hot either. I hear there's quite the heat wave going around, but I am just honored to be invited in the BN community. I especially felt moved by including works that are pushing the boundaries. I think market's a little slow to catch on to trends, but it's better late than never, they usually say. I hope to keep in touch with everybody. If you love this reading, I do have my website on the website, the Fourth River Review website, but I'm moving, so I will be putting my stuff in the chat. And just real quick, I'm changing my name because I'm getting married. It will be Jasmine Plascon. So my website now is jasminesarahplascon.com, and hope to keep in touch with everybody because these are beautiful readings. So without further ado, I will read a few poems. I was encouraged to not read just the one that I had submitted, so I picked a couple of others. Thank you, by the way. I'll start with one that I rewrote recently in response to a prompt. I'll then read the one I actually submitted, plus one that I feel fits, and if I have time, I'll squeeze in one more. So here we go with the first one. What the fuck I will tell the next generation when they ask why we did not try enough to stop our climate crisis. I want you to think about the feeling of driving late at night. Just you, the hum of your engine, and the thrall of crickets you can't hear as you rush by. In darkness, the road's upward stretch into infinity is impossible to see in entirety. You can only know it as you go, much like the car can only begin to careen around the curve the moment that it needs to, and not a single second more. The climate catastrophe was the same in this way. We are all in the car, careening up the canyon, inch by perceptible inch as the curve tells us to. We knew the steepness of the task, that the mountain was there, how the trail would thin as the car kept moving forward. But the knowing does not cease the doing, that until told otherwise by the shape of the earth or the cessation of the insects' hymns, the road is still a road, so why not drive anyway? Everything is alive when there's nowhere else to go. Everything is possible when you are the only thing awake. Now for the one that is actually in the anthology, and thank you again very much for picking this up. It's a little, not safe for worky, fair warning. Ode to all the men I loved. I close my eyes when the pale moon casts her shape in the sky. Click, click. Beneath the sheets, my vibrator hums. There he is, tender, his hands undoing hook after hook until we are skin to skin. He admires my surgical scars still veiled by gauze I stole from work, fingers ghosting past them to find my fervor seizes me by the throat when we kiss. I was on him in one heartbeat. Into, I cast my top towards the realm of my luggage and my panties and everything else until he bore nothing and I, just my big red skirt. Easily, I would straddle him, hips hovering until I took him in. I wouldn't let him get it if only he texted me back. The time he cuddled up to me when I had only a cami and some panties on. The time he kissed my neck and I wanted to melt but froze instead. The time he said he'd like to meet me at a hotel just so we could. When I'm finished, the moon still casts her shape through my window. I'm back to the present, my body heavy in the bed. To fall asleep even faster, I conjure up the ghost of their arms around me as if we all finish together. And then a follow-up that was not in the anthology, that I also felt inspired to write recently because I've become a big horror movie fan and I'm perpetually disappointed that the slut / the whore is always dying. So here we go. I don't know why the whore never survives in a horror movie. In the era of 4K and Netflix, I watch our silver screen offer up the whore of the day. She dies all the time by knife or chainsaw or gun or car crash or the DIY torture device slapped to her head or the good old-fashioned juicing off screen while in the middle of writing some good dick as God and these directors intended. It's not new. I cheer for their survival like they're not going to die, and this is not new either, really. I just don't know in what world the whore would not survive. The whore, capable of lifting herself up to God by the grace of her muscle, a prayer from the pole above. The whores, a corner girl, the neighbor, myself. What to call a masterpiece whose foundation is built over bones. Skyscrapers are proof we transcend limits, but the algorithm can't find me a single goddamn movie where the whore lives. Tucked between zeros and ones, the metaphor. Flower that blooms in the dark. A whore who survives men. It looks like I have time for one more, so I'll sneak that one more in. We'll end on a good, beautiful, wonderful, positive note here. This is for my fiance. I love to hear my magpie sing. Even and especially when his voice is 3 octaves too high, cracking from joy on purpose. He jettisons into the sky all the time. Life is a burden he makes look light. My magpie floods our nest with trinkets. Our cabinets are fit to burst from his trove of flaming hot Cheetos and ramen. On the way in or out, his other hoard of sheath blades by the door, where I will sometimes trip over one if I'm not looking. I'm often not looking. My magpie, by the grace of his stilted legs, lifts off from his feet like a swan, twirls all around from room to room. I keep no cage for my magpie because he knows me most. My face, the ink blot that drips down his memory. I love my magpie and my magpie loves me. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. Okay, I have the pleasure of introducing Monica Prince. Prince teaches activist and performance writing at Susquehanna University in Pennsylvania. She is the author of How to Exterminate the Black Woman, a Courier poem, Instructions for Temporary Survival, and Letters from the Other Woman. She is the managing editor of the Santa Fe Writers Project Quarterly and co-author of the suffrage play Pageant of Agitating Women with Anna Andes. Her work appears or is forthcoming in the Missouri River, the Missouri Review, the Texas Review, the Rumpus, Madcap Review, American Poetry Journal, and elsewhere. Without further ado, Monica Prince.
Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here. It's so wonderful to be here virtually. We wish we could be there. We're only about 3.5 hours away, but we have a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow, so we couldn't come today. I'm joined by my stunning and fabulous fiance, Robert Barkley. Oh, look at you, all so happy. So we're not going to read the pieces that are published in the anthology. We're actually going to read accompanying pieces of the pieces in the anthology. In the anthology, we have two poems that are called, I wrote them. Sorry.
I just get to be here.
I have two poems in the anthology from my latest choreo poem, which is called Roadmap, which comes out July 2023.
Mhm.
Yay. And so those two poems are in the anthology. So we're going to read 3 other pieces from around those poems. Choreo poem, for those of you who are not obsessed with Ntasaki Shange like I am, is a choreographed series of poems that combine music, art, performance poetry, parkour, yoga, dancing, singing, all kinds of other beautiful stuff all together performed on stage like a play. So this choreo poem focuses on a young Black American man named Dorian, who is navigating his most likely cause of death, which is homicide. Because according to the CDC, the most likely cause of death for Black men ages 15 to 34 is homicide. So we're going to start with a poem recited by Dorian called Black Boys Are Missing. Then we're going to go to a poem recited by another character in the show, his mother, Raven. And that poem is called Insomnia, Love, and the Black Man. I've got this.
Yes, you do.
And then we're going to recite one final poem called Unfinished List of Other Ways Black Parents Say I Love You, which is recited by Dorian's mother, Raven, and his father, Neil. So before my lovely Robert does this, the introductory line that sparks this poem is: the most likely cause of death for Black boys ages 13 and under is suicide.
I know a lie or two about Black folk. About our likelihood to remove one another from the planet, not by gang violence or a jury conviction, a quiet formula we exchange without language. I know I'm not the only one with a razor locked underneath my bed. And yet the statistics have me believing self-harm is a whites-only phenomenon. My father carved X's into his skin. My mother dated white men in the hopes they'd kill her. I don't want to know these secrets, don't want to inherit this legacy of scar and reckless, find new ways to bleed down tranks instead of facing reality. They say we do this for attention. I do this for strength, for rest, for freedom. One day I'll rejoice at my own sobriety. 0 days self-harming, no fantasies of how to press the eject button from Earth. You're uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable. Of course, once you know someone wants to cease to be, you can't unknow. Can't quell the fact that not everyone wants to hold on to the end, get from A to Z. You expect bad days, sure, but not bad enough to end your life. To imagine waltzing into the sea, stones tied around your waist, or overdosing on vodka and pills, or jumping from a bridge into southbound lanes. That feeling of helplessness you dismiss as a bad day, it boomerangs in my bone marrow, the double helix of DNA and generational trauma. Our presence with our parents teaches us fear, not pleasure. Death because of our race, an unasked for burden. We'll quote a phone number, offer an ear or shoulder just enough to soothe our egos, then move on. Exactly. It's useless. We're aware of echoes of agony, desperate tweets at 0 hour. Then we stay shocked at a funeral. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not even asking for help. I want recognition, realization that Black boys kill themselves, that we're more lethal, more successful at it. One moment we're in love, laughing, joking. The next someone comes across our quieting pulse. What I'm trying to say is I'm always angry. I contain that fury with brutality against my own sparkling. It hurts. I hurt. I cry. I don't want you to know that. I know how toxic I sound. But I'm sick of lying about how much my soul burns. All this vicarious sorrow, I can't support it. And occasionally I want to quit, go to glory, as grandma might say. But today is a good goddamn day. Today, I thought any bait to kill this body. Today, I jazz and I swoon as I know what I'll do soon. Thank you.
Okay. This next piece is called Insomnia, Love, and the Black Man. In the dark, my beloved sleeps easily. I can't imagine how. Prone to tears in public and clutching him desperately, I lie awake, counting my heartbeats in time to his inhale, exhale, inhale. As a child, white spaces enveloped me. I convinced myself that my dark body would fare safer in the presence of the oppressors. I was wrong. The first white boy I ever loved carried a knife to school every day, called it protection, should have called it a promise to bring a gun tomorrow. And then he did. He killed a boy his age over some weed. 2 in the chest, 1 in the head, sounded like a rap song, a bad cop drama. I couldn't love him anymore after I saw what his hands were capable of, what they had always been able to do. What privilege, an inheritance he never questioned, generations of bad behavior, entitlement, and misplaced rage taught him to solve fear with violence, to take what's his even if it doesn't belong to him. The last white man I ever loved did exactly what I expected him to do, what every story that starts with a murder must include. He knew he could do whatever he wanted because every man before him had done the same thing. Of course, his body could rape and pillage. What else was it made for? This is not to say that white man cannot be loved, that colored girls like me cannot open for them, produce legacies of joy with them, plot new maps of uncharted territory where they can escape the damage they wreak. No, I mean, I cannot celebrate another loving day as somebody's rebellious streak, risk a racist grandparent bleaching my baby's skin in the bathtub, defend a ballot cast in favor of my extermination. I mean, I fell in love with a Black man, and I don't think I'll sleep soundly ever again. I worry for my beloved Black man asleep beside me, father of my child, someone's son and brother and friend. I want to keep loving him, to accept the probability that the anger of a bitter white man might force him out of my bed and into the ground too soon. Love isn't logical here. As it conquers the possibility of irrevocable loss, I can't help myself. He's just so miraculous. Okay, our last poem. We gotta do this together, honey.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get close.
I'm not distracted, I'm scrolling to the page.
Okay. So this last poem is called Unfinished List of Other Ways Black Parents Say I Love You. And I'm playing Dorian's mother and
I am playing Dorian's father, Neil.
yeah. Ready? Did you get enough to eat?
Pull up your pants, boy.
You can't spend the whole day in bed.
Call me if you need a ride home.
You don't want to end up like cousin Mike, locked up. And for what?
In this house, we don't back down from a fight. Hit him back next time.
Someone tried to call me, sorry. No one's gonna love you if you keep acting like that.
Walk in the corner.
You're gonna have to work twice as hard to get half as much as these white folks.
Be safe walking down the street.
Keep your hands out of your pockets.
Where's your wallet? Take it off that chain.
You can't wear hoodies anymore.
I heard a siren, so I just wanted to see where you are.
Repeat our phone number back to me. And grandma's. You know who to call, right?
Who all's gonna be over there? Nah, that Malik boy is trouble. I don't want you at his house because I said so. Don't laugh, baby. We gotta tell the boy.
I'll drive you. I don't want you walking in that neighborhood. You might get lost.
Text me when you get home.
Call me when your plane lands.
You have enough for groceries this week?
We're praying for you down at the church.
The phone works both ways, you know.
Take care of yourself.
Get home safe.
Take care of yourself.
Get home safe.
Take care of yourself.
Get home safe.
Don't die. Don't die. Don't die. Don't die. Please. Just get home in one piece. Thank you, y'all.
I don't know why I decided to have so many different formats for reading today, but that's where we are. Thank you so much, Monica. I just want to, before I read, I just want to say a couple of things. I just want to thank everyone who submitted, who we couldn't include in the anthology, and everyone who is a contributor who is actually in this anthology. As you all can see, they're all amazing. And I think that, you know, we are very grateful for the resources from Chatham that made it possible, and the resources from Fourth River that made it possible for us to have this anthology. And if you do manage to purchase an anthology, the proceeds will go back into the residency. So just wanted to let you all know that. So I am going to start by reading a poem that I've read several places, but people seem to like it, so I'm going to read it. And then I'm going to read something new. The woman in Starbucks mistakes me for a player. I'm standing in line, Thomas and Beulah underarm. She asks, "What are you reading?" "Read a Dove," I say. It's poetry. "Oh, a poet," she says, drawing out the O and crinkling one stenciled eyebrow, as if I'm the kind of poet to fear, the kind of artist who draws lovers in like a trapdoor spider, as if I spend hours memorizing Etheridge Knight or Langston Hughes so I can rap smooth on street corners, lead some fly honey back to my apartment, wallpapered in Dylan posters, Khalil Gibran open haphazardly on a coffee table, some tempestuous divo more sullen than celibate who can't hold a job past 3 months and cries like a curled shrimp on my duvet while my boyfriend swipes right on Grindr profiles. No, I am not that poet. I must inform her. I just want to pass my grad school classes, find a nice Pennsylvania boy to marry, make enough money to buy a bus pass and John Vivadas boots, read enough books to poach my eyes like eggs, drink enough tea to stain my insides purple. Thank you, Snaps. I love Snaps. Loading. Loading. I thought it would be better to read off my laptop, but than my phone, but I don't know. This might have been a mistake. Okay. So this is new. It's called The Knot. My father taught me to unknot things, but he could not teach me how to knot a tie. To secure the dimple in the Windsor, though many Sundays, he tied it around his bent thigh, the only way he knew. He never learned to use the neck as sturdy column. Instead, he swiped back and forth, over and under, his leg propped up on the edge of his bed. I swore to him I understood, but I never did. And our feelings were tied up like a knot. He left deep bruises on my psyche. For years, we circled each other. I once wanted him to hit me so I could feel physically the verbal blows he leveled. I'm not sure how we found a way out. One day, he was standing in the driveway, a person I had never met. He had put his anger down. He rounded off his sentences with a rising inflection, warmth in "Hey, son." I could not understand. I still nursed the fractures he left behind. One day I was praying, something unknotted inside me, a coldness drained out. I traced my way backwards through the mess of our lives, like turning a tangle to find its weakness. My fingers focusing on one chord, just one chord, not minding the rest, focusing, loosening the cord at the center from the others, unlooping until I could tug it and pull it free. Okay, I'm gonna read my piece that is in the anthology. It's called Opulence, and if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, it's called Opulence. I love you for getting that, Caitlyn. It is Sunday, Michael Douglas matinee. Dad is not around. You smudge your lips mauve, cross legs in green flip-flops, pink robe. When I touch your arm from laughing, the silk quiets me. You smooth a strand of hair over a roller, smile my way. You are a woman. A woman's items present themselves to me. From the glass tray, I walk my fingers over lip liner, eyebrow pen, slick lid of Bronner Brothers Supergrow, the eyelash curler in its cup, a lazy sword. I hold my breath each time you clench lashes into its steel mouth. Reveal to mirror. Your face obeys when you order change. I live inside your vanilla cotton scent. I replace the cold cream for you. The tray shakes. Mom, where is Dad? Is he close? I open the bottle with the frosted glass, breathe in the night crushed up and poured. I can never feel his approach like I can yours. Already, he could be climbing the stairs. Quick, tell me how you chose the mauve, how you knew it would go with the pink. How does that instinct move in your belly and from there connect to your wrist? And the last poem that I will share tonight is a pantum, which is a form where the second and fourth line of each stanza becomes the first and third line of the next stanza, and then the first and third line of the first stanza becomes the second and fourth line of the last stanza. I think I got that right. For you on Zoom who couldn't hear, Nicole just said, fucking poets, man. Tonsure for Ryan. Brother who is also bald, are you shaving right now? Your stoppered sink, a baptismal font. In Nepal, a nun is shaving her head too. You are shaving right now. Two Buddhas, opposite mirrors, opposite neighborhoods. In Nepal, a nun shaves her head, a holy shearing to show devotion. Two Buddhas, opposite mirrors, opposite neighborhoods. We return to the day we were born. No holy shearing to show devotion, just courage to reveal our scalps to everyone. Return to the day you were born. Before these sunspots, dimples, pimpled valleys, it takes courage to show your scalp to everyone. I watch my afro circle the drain, sunspots, dimples, pimpled valleys. What was hidden is now revealed. I watch my afro circle the drain. This is ritual I will not fear. What was hidden is now revealed. I must accept this man I see. This is ritual I will not fear. The hand that held the razor trembles. I must accept this man I see. The stopper sink a baptismal font. The hand with the razor trembling. Brother, we are bald. Okay. And piece from Lucy. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Lorette. I'm one of the editors for the anthology. And rather than reading any of my own work, want to give a shout out to the namesake, the spark that really lit the fire behind this project, Boosie. So we included a couple of pieces in the anthology of his. Shout out again to our fellow editor, Samantha, who I believe was able to join us, helping us really find the right ones and curate them for this book that we're all very proud of. So the first one is called Change is Coming. They asked me what it is I'm running from. I said I'm running from failure. I'm running from complacency. I'm running from anything and everything that would attempt to detain or derail me from reaching the full potential of my legacy. They ask me why, and I say simply because I want to be free. Free from mediocrity, free from the shackles of statistics they would lock on me. I am not going to be the next Black man shot down by police on Fox News who they label thug. I'm going to be that Black man that dies at 87, surrounded by roses of war and love. The streets underneath my feet won't receive a pint of my blood. Unless it's leading a revolution for the evolution of my people, and by my people, I mean the human race, because it is my duty to teach you, my people, what love is truly. Truly, it is my destiny to only give you the best of me. And if that is not enough, I will give you the best of me and the rest of me. And if that is not enough, I will give you the best of me and the rest of me and whatever my soul has left of me. And I will do this until I bring about change henceforth to infinity effectively, until I humble our Holy Father enough to stand next to me. Best believe a change is coming from me. You hear me, Boosie? And ending our anthology is another one of his pieces called My Letter to a Lost Friend. I received these words from a dream I had. You were there in a sense. I saw you and a certain power emanated from you as I sat amidst mystical flames of a swirling blue and red. And I knew you were there because of the warmth of your smile, and I was happy, happier than I've ever been. Happy because there was truth there. Truth in the fact that I never let you go. Truth that I was afraid to, because to let you go would be to let go of a woman who inspired everything that's best in me. In such a short time, you helped me grow into a person who could truly love and truly dream again and much more. You made it possible for me to believe that I could truly connect again, that it was possible to feel like I would never be alone because there was a soul out there that looked just like mine, strong, unwavering, unbeatable. You reminded me of what destiny felt like. I remember now. And admittedly, when you died, that part of me died. I gave up. I gave up any desire to dream truly. I fooled myself into thinking that maybe it simply wasn't my destiny to love and be loved. I wanted nothing to do with others. There was a void where once were your flames helping me blaze my path to what it was I am, what I was meant to be. But after seeing you in my dreams in that same wild flame, I was reminded of you. Tears flowed freely as you scolded me, made me remember. You didn't die because of me or for me. You died because it was your time. But never forget what bonded us in the first place. We've both been through our fair share, but we've gotten this far, never giving up, by becoming stronger the further we got on journeys. I may have forgotten, but I remember now. My soul remembers you now, the warmth of knowing you where you burns within me still. And as much as it pains me to, I'll let go of that notion that I'll never have the same connection I've had with you. I'll love just as you wanted me to. Be bold just as you always saw me do, but just know I'll be all of this because of you. I love you. Somehow in that moment I sat next to you. I knew I always would. You're missed here, but even from that place in the sky, I hear you loud and clear. Love, Jeff, the poet, the author, the friend. Thank you. Wow, thank you. A little choked up. Thank you, everybody on Zoom, all the contributors, and everyone in this room. That was an amazing reading. And I just want to close with some words of thanks. First and foremost, to the editors. This is a beautiful, beautiful collection of work. And it was truly a labor of love and integrity. Samantha, Nicole, Caitlyn, Cedric, thank you for visioning this, for bringing it to fruition, for giving it to our community. We will cherish it. I can't wait to read the rest of it. I also just want to acknowledge this group of students, not students anymore, but alums of our program once more publicly for their, again, great integrity and their belief that our program could be a better place for students of color. And I want to share an anecdote I've shared before about Boosie, who also shared this kind of optimism. And who came to me when he was about to graduate from our program and said, I really want this to be a better place for people who look like me. Can you help me? And I tried, and we talked. And this group has, in his memory and sharing that vision and that energy forward, I think really brought that into something real with the Emerging Black Writer in Residence program. We are so grateful to Caitlyn and Cedric for serving as our inaugural residents. I'm sure you could look around this room and to the folks on Zoom and everyone would have something to say, some very specific kind of thanks to offer you. You've done something really important that I'm promising to do my best to take good care of. So thank you. And I'm really happy that we happen to be able to announce tonight the person who will take up the mantle and be our next Emerging Black Writer in Residence. It's Cameron Barnett, who happens to be here. Cameron, can you, there he is. We're so excited. We're so excited that Cameron has agreed to step into this role for us beginning in August of 2022 and staying with us for the whole of the academic year. The details of Cameron's particular role in the residency will be forthcoming because it's something that we have all agreed should be permeable and changeable depending on the interests of the resident, what they want to bring to the community and what we can give back to them. I'll end once more by saying thank you to Cameron, thank you to the folks in this room, the folks on Zoom. Thank you to Boosie for bringing us all together. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.